Good afternoon, everyone. This is John Ratliff. I am the Executive Director of the NSTC Workforce Center of Excellence. We are here today for the next in our series of webinars on the activities of the NSTC. Today, we will be talking about what's next for the Workforce Center of Excellence. Before we get started, let me do a brief disclaimer. The views presented today are those of Natcast and not necessarily those of our federal partners and funders or the NSTC members. Let's start very quickly by just describing what the NSTC Workforce Center of Excellence is. The Workforce Center of Excellence is a part of the National Semiconductor Technology Center, the NSTC, and it was authorized along with the NSTC in the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022. The vision for the center is that it is designed to be the platform, the anchor institution that brings together the stakeholders from the semiconductor industry to both understand the nature, scale, and scope of the workforce challenges they are facing and to identify solutions to address those challenges. With that in mind, it really has two big goals: increasing access to talent by the industry so that the industry is positioned to do and engage in the activities that it needs to do now to produce the types of semiconductors we need, both commercially and industrially, and to position the industry to be at the forefront of innovation, be at the leading edge of innovation into the future. And what does that next generation of talent look like? So it's increasing access to talent to serve those ends, but also increasing access to opportunity for individuals who would like to be employed or involved or engaged in the industry. So because we're focused on innovation, the workforce segments that we will be most focused on range from technical workers, skilled technical workers, that is, people who may not have a post-secondary degree but do have specialized technical training, all the way up to skilled, trained engineers, researchers, and scientists. So it's that full spectrum from skilled technical workers up to the people with the most advanced degrees. Before we start talking about the activities that we will be engaging in the coming year, let's take a moment to look back on what we've done and how we got to where we are today. This started for us with the signing of the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022. That piece of legislation included the authorization for the NSTC, including the Workforce Center of Excellence. That was followed by the establishment of Natcast. Natcast is the purpose-built nonprofit that was designed to operate the NSTC on behalf of the NSTC consortium. The consortium was founded formally with the launch in February of this year. So that brought together the partners of the NSTC consortium, and including Natcast. So with that framework in mind, we began the activities of the Workforce Center of Excellence. The major activity of this year, the earliest activity, I should say, was the launch of the Workforce Partner Alliance. So this was the set of awards that we announced in July, announced the funding opportunity in July, and there was an application window in the summer for applicants who were interested in getting investments from the Workforce Center of Excellence in their workforce programs. So this is designed to fund programs, initiatives, activities designed to meet the challenges facing the industry. Now, it may seem a little strange that we launched this specific activity, the awards program, the Workforce Partner Alliance, before we launched the full center. But that was done, I think, because there was a sense of urgency given the challenges facing the industry and the stakeholders in the industry, and also that because of that urgency and because some of the applications would be based on an academic calendar, we didn't want to lose an entire academic year before launching the program. So even though we launched the full Workforce Center in the fall, we launched the awards program a little bit earlier just to not lose that academic year. So that brings us to the fall. In the fall, we actually launched the whole Workforce Center of Excellence. This meant that we launched the strategic plan for the Workforce Center, which I'll talk about in a minute, just to remind people what's in that. We announced the core capacities of the Workforce Center. These are basically, just to remind people, are data and analytics, awards and recognition, and ecosystem support. That is technical assistance to help build effective regional and national workforce ecosystems. And at the same time, we also launched the nominations for the Workforce Advisory Board, which I'll come back to in a moment. So just to remind people what is in the strategic plan, the key elements are this, and this is what is guiding our work. The Workforce Center of Excellence is designed, and its activities are designed to increase access to effective industry-driven workforce solutions. So driving solutions, increasing access to solutions that help all of the stakeholders in the industry meet the workforce challenges that we're facing both now and into the future. So as we learn more about what that next generation of talent will need, as the industry increases and promotes continues to promote innovation and be at the leading edge, what is that next generation of talent that's required by the industry to help them? So what do the individuals who want to be employed in the industry need, and what does the industry need? So increasing access to effective industry-driven workforce solutions. What does that mean? That means using the capacities that we've built, we will be unlocking actionable insights. So using the data system that we will have in the center and the access to data that we have to really understand, as I said, the scale, scope, and nature of the workforce challenges and which programs are effective at addressing those challenges. Second, or the next piece, is facilitating the exchange of ideas and insights. So helping people share those, helping ensure that if there is a highly effective program in one part of the country with one employer, that employers in other parts of the country or other stakeholders in other parts of the country will have access to that and how it's working. That was one of the biggest things we heard from members, or I should say stakeholders, early on, was that there was great work happening around the country, but that each region or each employer had to reinvent the wheel because they didn't know what was going on around the country. Facilitating access to information about what is working is designed to help ensure that they don't have to reinvent that. And then the third piece is providing expertise and customized technical assistance to help employers and other stakeholders around the country understand what's working and then adopt and adapt the particular programs that they may see working elsewhere to their own set of stakeholders and their own environment. So each of those things we think will help with the further adoption of highly effective programs and that adaptation to particular circumstances around the country. So looking forward to what we will be doing this year. One additional thing I need to mention that has happened since we launched the Workforce Center of Excellence in the fall, and that is the launch of the NSTC membership program. So we now actually have members. We had a lot of stakeholders, and we engaged stakeholders all of last year, especially after the launch of the NSTC consortium. But now we have actual members. We actually have anticipated awardees now in the Workforce Partner Alliance. So we are now moving very specifically to how do we engage those members to ensure that the capacities that we have set up in data and analytics, in technical assistance, and in awards and recognition, that we apply those capacities to meeting the actual needs, desires, hopes, and wants of the members. So the first piece of that is going to be around engagement. A major component of that engagement is the Workforce Advisory Board. So this is the most formalized way we will be engaging members. We announced the availability of, or we announced that we were going to set up this board with the launch of the Workforce Center of Excellence and also launched the nomination process in September. We hope in the coming weeks to be able to announce the actual members of that board. That board is comprised of stakeholders from across the semiconductor and microelectronics industry. And we will use that board to help guide us both in strategy, but also in alignment of the specific activities within the core components that we've developed in the center, the alignment of those components to the actual products and services that the members want and need. So the Workforce Advisory Board will be coming in a matter of weeks. There are some additional membership engagement opportunities that members will hear about in the coming weeks as well. The last piece of that I would like to highlight is that in addition to the more formalized Workforce Advisory Board, we are going to be creating communities of interest among our members to ensure that the folks who may not want to serve on a formal board, but who want to be engaged in particular groupings of work around particular aspects of the work can come together, and that we can work together closely with them and they can be engaged in those particular buckets of work. So with all of that engagement in mind, that is coming in a couple months or over the next few months, the opportunities to become engaged in that, the announcement of the Workforce Advisory Board, and some specific membership engagement opportunities. Let's talk about the specific activities. So this spring, you can expect to see a couple of additional things. One will be the announcement of additional funding opportunities. I think building on the success of the Workforce Advisory Board, the Workforce Partners Alliance announced last year, we will have those. We will have negotiated those and made those awards final. Since we announced them in September, we're finalizing those. So I think we will be preparing to announce a new funding round, new opportunities for funding probably in the late spring. Just to remind people again, this is where we are making investments of Workforce Center of Excellence funding in solutions that would benefit from replication or extension, expansion, or scaling. So this tends to be programs that have been shown to be effective, but that we want to expand in some way. In addition to that, we will be launching the recognition program. So the recognition program is an attempt to highlight and showcase and raise up programs that are highly effective, but for which we may not have funding or the ability to invest in ourselves. So it's essentially a signal to employers or to other funders, state and local funders, philanthropic funders, that based on our data and analysis, we think these are highly effective programs designed to meet certain workforce challenges, specific workforce challenges, or multiple workforce challenges in the industry. But we may not be able to fund them ourselves, but we're recognizing them as highly effective as a signal to potential other funders that they may want to consider deploying or employing, I probably should say adopting these programs in their particular situation, or at least looking at them because they're highly effective. So that's awards program, a recognition program that is not necessarily awards, but it is recognizing highly effective programs. We'll also be rolling out our activities around technical assistance, the specific activities around building communities and helping communities, both regions and the stakeholders in those regions, build effective workforce ecosystems so that there's a close tie between the industry employers and the workforce solution providers. So how to do that effectively. A part of that will be building off and partnering with the organizations that are getting CHIPS Program Office Workforce Awards, but we will also be working, we will be supporting that work, but also providing services to members who are not Workforce Awards from CPO so that they can benefit from the learnings and the lessons that we're getting from the highly effective systems. We will help them with their adoption of some of the practices that are shown to be highly effective in workforce ecosystems. The last thing I will mention in this is we will continue this set of best practice, I should say, webinars. The first two webinars that we've done here are trying to bring people up to speed about what is happening, because there's been a lot of activity, some of which has not been visible to all the members. in the planning stages. So the first couple of these webinars have been focused on like where we are, where we're going, including today's webinar. The next set of webinars are likely to be focused on highlighting some of the specific best practices. So more content oriented, less about where we are and where we're going, but highlighting some of the specific best practices and highlighting content that we hope will be of interest and expect will be of interest to the members seeking information about what is actually working. Beyond that, we will say summer 2025 and beyond, we're going to build on each of those things. So I think you will see a series of funding opportunities that will come on a regular basis. You will see additional practices recognized as highly effective. One of the things that we're building as part of the efforts to facilitate access to information about what is working is a digital library of resources. So as we identify what's working in the data and analytics program, but also as we raise up programs or learn about programs through our awards and recognition, and also through working with regions, a digital library of highly effective practices. So these will be curated specifically for the members by our team based on the interests that they have, but all members will have access to this digital library of different resources, including research projects. So our research team and our data and analytics will be drafting white papers and other research products, both on the nature and scope of the challenges, but also on what is highly effective and what's working. So all of those things will be accessible in the digital library, the digital library of resources that we will be creating, and that will be growing starting after its launch later this year. So with that in mind, I think those are the things that I'd like to highlight about what is happening this year. Both engagement and on content. So one of the visions we have for this, which is why I focused both on engagement and content, is that we want all of these activities to contribute to a virtuous cycle that helps both us and the members that we are serving use all the information and intelligence that we're gathering, content that we are gathering to help inform the next set of activities. So I just want to highlight that we view this as a cycle of continuous improvement, continuous engagement with our members to help continue to understand their needs and refine the products and services that we're delivering to those needs so that we are providing something that is valuable to them. And that's a dynamic process. So as the industry and the nature and set of stakeholders engaged in the industry grows and changes, that we can be nimble and responsive to that as as we continue to push innovation in partnership with our members. Finally, I just want to remind people engagement is critically important to us. We want to stay engaged with our members and with the potential members who would like to be engaged. The easiest way, the most important way, I would say, for a stakeholder, an employer, an organization, or another stakeholder group who wants to be engaged with our work is to become a member of the NSTC. You can do that by applying at natcast.org/NSTC membership. This gives you access to the full set of activities, resources, and products that we will be developing, and to the full set of talent on our team who will be working on these things. So that's the best way. You can also sign up for our newsletter if you just want to stay advised about what we're doing and when we're doing it. That will keep you apprised of those, the activities and the opportunities for engagement as they develop. And if you have any questions, we would love to have you submit them to workforce@natcast.org. We'll try and be responsive as part of our engagement. We have a team who is interested in working with all the stakeholders. So if you submit a question to that, we will do our very best to answer that in as quickly a manner as we possibly can. So with that, I would just thank you for your engagement, your attention today, and we look forward to working with each of you as we advance on our joint mission of supporting the industry and all the stakeholders in it as we continue to promote innovation and leading edge semiconductor activity in the United States.